Okay. Next up is The Underdog, written by Jen and Sylvia Soska, and the art is done by Cliff Richards. Um, of course, we know Cliff from his work on the Isom series, the Ill-Advised arc. Um, he's an artist that really stands out. You could recognize his work instantly upon first glance. There's a lot of focus on emotions and facial expressions. He plays with perspectives and shadows. Um, the the perspectives combined with action scenes really work for me. I think it's there's some cool scenes where wrestling is going on, and I'll probably pull up some examples where it feels very physical. It conveys very well towards the reader. Um, so I've become a bit of a fan of his art. Furthermore, I noticed that maybe this was Cliff's choice, but or just the Saska sisters itself that they did a little self insert. So there's a panel where they're with Tuna, and I recognize them. You can't fool me or convince me that's not them. Um, a small point of criticism, and this is a thing that I saw throughout the Saints and Sinners anthology. There's another typo here. I think it's the SSWL is called the SWWL, which is it's weird to me that that keeps getting past editors. But it's not a huge deal. Um, so what is the Underdog about? The Underdog is a story about wrestling, as you might have seen by now. Um, it's basically the WWE inside the Rippaverse, which is called the SSWL, and it's a story about wrestlers or a wrestler. There's a lot of references towards the real world, and a lot of inspiration has been taken from it. Um, so the story starts out with this man right here. He's called Tuna, and you might have heard that name before in Horseman. Yeah. We see his first appearance in Horseman, where he did a little bit of career switch, and he became a crime lord. Um, this comic portrays him as a bit of an asshole, which would make sense. And the thing is, he keeps injuring other wrestlers, and she's dropping them down on the mat, and they keep breaking or hurting themselves. And while the audience loves it, they they don't have a lot of opponents for him left, and there's a big event coming up, a sort of WrestleMania equivalent, and the, yeah, so he has no one to go up against, and he doesn't care because he's the champion, and yeah, he doesn't really care about the company, but more about himself. So the story is about how they go look for someone he can fight, and this is where Larry Shunguy comes in. um, and the story ends, of course, with a battle in ring, and well, and Larry upsetting the boss of the SSWL. So if you look at the story, I think it draws a lot of parallels with actual wrestling, in ring, but also backstage, and but also locker room. So it's a bit what's scripted, what's not scripted, and all the drama we've come to love. Me as well, personally, as a wrestling fan. Um, since 2 years or so. Um, I think it's a bit of an ode to wrestling because we get a lot of wrestling. We get backyard wrestling. We get wrestling families. We get opposing authority, which is a reference towards the Attitude Era, and even some of the characters could be equated to a real life persona. For example, when I first saw Larry Shungite, I thought that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I'm very curious, however, how this story is received by non wrestling fans. Um, do they also like it? There's not a lot of big surprises in here. Um, Maybe it's a good gateway to get into wrestling. It's a very contained story from. It's the beginning of, or it could be the beginning of something big. So it's a story from A to Z, but it leaves the door open for more. Um, I saw some interesting characters, which I did not expect in this story. We got to see Lincoln, the owner of Projexis, who apparently had a career inside the SSWL in the past. And one that I also noticed was someone that was related to Gao, who is the editor in chief at the Florida Spark Star. And his father or his uncle or his a relative, he owns the SSWL, and he's a very hot tempered man. Um, Overall, I like the story a lot. Wrestling drama. You can see that they really love the subject of wrestling. I'm talking about the Soskas here. It's basically an ode to wrestling, and I think I want to see more of Larry, and maybe even Tuna. This is a way that we can see Tuna again, because we all know how it ended in Horseman. Um, Overall, good story.